So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about modal interchange versus minor key chord scales. If we have a 1 minor 7 in the major mode, it's going to be a modal interchange chord. And the chord scale may be different than if we have a 1 minor 7 in a minor key, in C minor, for example. As we went over probably before in our class, if you're in a minor key and you're using just diatonic minor, the chord scales will be almost like, or exactly like, the relative major. So C minor 7 would be 6 in E flat major, therefore it would take the Aeolian scale. And let's see. So for example, 2 minor 7 flat 5 in the minor key would take Locrian, of course, right? And flat 3 major 7 would be Ionian. Again, E flat major, that's a relative major. It would be the 1 chord, so it would be Ionian. 4 minor 7 Dorian. 5 minor 7 Phrygian. Flat 6 major 7 Lydian. And flat 7 7 Mixolydian. But it turns out that if we're using a C minor chord, C minor 7, in a C major context, we might use a different chord scale, and I kind of want to show you about that now. So, for example, first of all, we have to get the chord scale, we have to spell the chord correctly. So let's use the notes from here and just put C, E flat, G, and B flat. So I'm going to just move these around a little bit. And that, this one is going to be B flat. And now, so we've adjusted all the chord tones that are necessary to write C minor correctly. So now, what kind of chord scale do we have here? We don't have Aeolian anymore. We have, notice this A natural, we have a Dorian chord scale. So that's going to be our chord scale, probably for the most part in the if we're using 1 minor 7 as a modal interchange chord. And of course we could fill in the scale degrees here, and we could go 1, 9, flat 3, 11, 5, 13 in this case, flat 7, and 1. So there's our Dorian chord scale. That would be the usual chord scale we'd use in modal interchange. Okay? Notice no void notes in that. All right? And it turns out that the minor 7 chords are going to kind of work the same way. Let's take a look at 4 minor 7 for a second. And if we do the same thing where we put our necessary accidentals in, so we've spelled F minor 7 correctly, and if we put in the rest of the notes that are diatonic, we're going to end up with a Dorian chord scale as well. So 1, 9, flat 3, 11, 5, 13, flat 7, 1. Okay, and we're going to call that, of course, Dorian as well. Where's our Dorian? Here we go. So Dorian would be good to use for 4 minor 7, and Dorian's going to be what we're going to use for 5 minor 7 as well, because if we put in the new notes that we need, it's going to be B flat, and otherwise we're all set. So what does this scale equal right here? So we took, basically, we spelled the G minor chord correctly in the key of C major, and then we're putting all the diatonic notes in between, and we get, again, the Dorian chord scale. If I can get really quick at doing this, maybe you won't mind sitting through a bit of it. Okay, 11, 5, 13. Notice the 13 is the third of the C major tonality, and I hope I'm not making any mistakes here. All right, so those are the 3 main minor 7 chords that we would encounter as modal interchange for in a major key. Okay. Now let's think about it. So it works a little bit of the similar way when we have our 7 minor 7 chord, flat 7 7 chord, because we're going to put in the notes that we need to spell this B flat 7 correctly. So B flat, D, F, A flat, and B flat. So now those we've spelled our chord correctly. I could even put in the 1, 3, 5, flat 7. So in our 1 here, okay, and if we put the diatonic notes in between, what are they going to be called? They're going to be called the 9, the sharp 11, and the 13. So what kind of chord scale does that give us here? Notice it gives us the Lydian dominant, which is the chord scale that we use on substitute dominants as well. So let me just see if there's a Lydian dominant in here somewhere. Lydian flat 7. So that's going to be the chord scale for. Even though it's Mixolydian, if you use all the diatonic notes in a minor key, but if you put in the diatonic E natural here, which is a very important, very nice important note of C major. So let's keep the E natural, put it into the chord scale, and that becomes our chord scale. All right. There are going to be 3 major 7 chords, right, that are used as modal interchange. And we'll find that if we use the same technique, it doesn't quite work out quite as well. So let's take, for example, let's spell D flat major 7 first. So we're going to spell it, oops. We're going to spell it D flat, F, A flat, oops. I don't know what I'm doing now here. I seem to have goofed. Okay, D flat, F, A flat, C, and then D flat as well. If we spell that chord, and that's going to be, of course, how we spell our major 7 here. It's going to be our 1, 3, 5, 7. Oops. And if we, notice if we put the diatonic notes in, we're going to get a really weird scale. It's going to go like this. So, and I think I even goofed up. Yeah, I guess that's right. Okay. So notice we've got an augmented second here. We've got an augmented second here. So it turns out that in order to play more melodically and avoid these sort of like the Arabic sounding half steps here, what we're going to do is smooth it out, and we're going to use the Lydian chord scale, which gives us the sharp 11 here, and we're going to turn this into a whole step and this into a whole step, and then it's going to make it more melodic for us. So we'll turn this into a 9, we'll turn this into a 13, and in order to do that, we're going to have to change the notes just a little bit. We're going to have to turn the E into an E flat, and a B into a B flat, and that's going to give us the Lydian chord scale that we're going to use for this major 7 chord. Okay, so we'll find that all 3 of the major 7s will take Lydian just like they did in the minor key example. As flat 2 major 7 in a minor key would also take that chord scale. So let's figure out how that would be for flat 3 major 7. We would have to adjust these notes to put it into the chord. So E flat, G, B flat, and put an E flat up here. All right, and then, so in this case, let's see how this works out. This is 1, 9, 3, sharp 11, 5, 13, 7, and 1. So that's going to become a Lydian chord scale. Actually, this one actually does work out by just spelling the chord correctly. We do get the Lydian chord scale for that, but you'll see on the next one that we do, we'll have to adjust it a little bit as well. So let's go to flat 6 major 7, and if we put in the accidentals in the right spot, I'm going to spell the chord correctly. So now that's spelled correctly. So notice we've got an augmented second here. So again, we're going to just adjust this note by a little bit and make it into a B flat. And now we have a whole step here and a whole step here, and we're going to have the whole Lydian chord scale. So Lydian for flat 3, major 7, flat 2, major 7, flat 6, major 7, all the major 7 chords are going to use Lydian. And that's no surprise because they're the same chord scales that we would use in... no, they're not. They're not all the same chord scales that we would use, but a couple of them are the same as we would use in a minor key. All right, so let me just put these in here. 1, 9, 3, sharp 11, 5, 13, 1. Okay, so just a few other things to talk about, and that is the 2 minor 7 flat 5. It's going to be Locrian in the minor mode, but if we put in the diatonic notes, again, we're going to end up, well, first D, F, A flat, C, okay. We are going to end up, if we put in the diatonic note, notes will end up with E, G, B. Probably actually this one. This one will probably, I'll get to that in a second. Notice here we've got E flat, G, B flat. And in this case, because we're in C major, we're going to use E natural. So that's going to give us a very interesting chord scale here. And notice, again, we have an augmented second here, A flat to B. So we're going to smooth that out by putting a flat in there. And then what we get when we write this chord scale out is not just straight Locrian, but it is Locrian with a natural 9. So it's almost Locrian, but it has a natural 9. Okay, so the formula for that, 1, 9. So this is the interesting thing about this is it actually has a 9 in this tension spot here instead of an avoid note, right? Okay, 11, flat 5, flat 13. So again, this flat 13, to avoid the augmented second, that is not very nice sound in a chord scale. So if we're in C, and we go to a D minor 7. Sounds very nice. If it's going to 1, if a 2 minor 7 flat 5 is going as a subdominant minor cadence to 1, you'll want that sound of the E natural. I'm going to skip over the, no, I guess I should do this. 6 minor 7 flat 5, notice that could also get a Locrian natural 9, or it could get regular Locrian. So I'm just going to put Locrian natural 9 is another possibility here. And because you could either use the B natural from C major, or you could use the B flat and make it kind of a Locrian chord scale. So either one would work, depending on the context. Okay, and finally, I just wanted to talk about this last one here, which is if you want to take the 2-5 in major from harmonic minor, then you would probably still use the Locrian chord scale for D minor 7 flat 5 and the mixo flat 9 sharp 9 flat 13 that we studied when we studied minor key harmony. If you have harmonic minor, you want to treat it almost like a secondary dominant. It's got the root, the third, the fifth, the flat 7, and then it's got the diatonic notes that are tensions. So we can take all these diatonic notes and throw them into the major key, and now we've got, if we're in C major, we've got D minor 7 flat 5, and that E flat these become tensions on the 5-7 chord. Okay, A flat, E flat, and B flat. So those are the, that's an explanation of why we use certain chord scales for the modal interchange. They might be a little different than our minor key chord scales. But just want to leave you with one thing. If it's a minor 7 and it's modal interchange, Dorian. If it's a dominant 7 and it's modal interchange, usually Lydian flat 7. If it's a major 7 modal interchange, usually Lydian, and the rest case by case basis. So, all right. So hope you enjoyed that. Take care.